First question enti? What is counter enlightenment and how did it challenge the main idea of
the enlightenment,
main ideas of enlightenment
in shaping European society and sociology.
in shaping European
Society and sociology.
society and sociology. Okay. What is counter enlightenment and how did it challenge the main ideas of enlightenment in shaping European society and sociology? Make em cheppanu first. Anyone who have written answer, how you have written? Cheptara? Anyone? Brief structure. Okay. See, first try to, నేను చెప్పాను కదా, first try to underline the keywords. Please do that. And did I send you the keywords కూడా, keywords ఎలా యూజ్ చేయాలి, డిస్క్రిప్షన్ ఎలా, ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కూడా ఇచ్చాను, చూసారా? ఎగ్జామ్ అయిపోయినాక వచ్చిందా? ఓకే సరే, ఓకే, యూ అండర్స్టూడ్ దట్. ఓకే, అది చదవండి, దాంట్లో దెర్ ఇస్ నాట్ మచ్ విచ్ ఐ కెన్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్, దోస్ ఆర్ సెల్ఫ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేటరీ. ఓకే, సో హౌ డిడ్ ఇట్ ఛాలెంజ్ ద మెయిన్ ఐడియాస్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్లైట్మెంట్ ఇన్ షేపింగ్ యూరోపియన్ society and sociology? So this is 10 marker, right? Okay, ela rastaru cheppandi. First you see what should be the answer structure. What should be the answer structure is, first you should write what is counter enlightenment. What is counter enlightenment? Okay, what is counter enlightenment? Intellectuals in Europe have seen that how European society or how the social order in European society was destabilized with the rise of modernity, and the modernity and its fallout. Modernity lepothe itla raskondi, modernity and its associated issues led to social modernity and its associated issues led to social changes, and which led to social challenges in the Europe. So these social challenges have affected the European stability, and it brought social chaos in European society. It might be like alienation, it might be like anomie, it might be like increasing divorce rate. You understand my point? Increasing divorce rate and these issues. So that is a reason why counter enlightenment scholars started questioning the limitations of modernity and started questioning modernity altogether also. So the counter enlightenment scholars are, ardhamaina? Simple. This is how you have to write. Simple. Okay, counter enlightenment is a movement which questioned the modernity and its fallout. Okay, or counter enlightenment is a movement which questioned the issues associated with the European modernity. And counter simple ga rayali, 10 mark introduction rayali ante adi rayandi. So then you can write 4-5 thinkers. The counter enlightenment thinkers are, okay, you write about Louis de Bonald, Joseph Maistri. Okay, Louis de Bonald, Joseph. Next, you write about Comte, Durkheim, Weber. Okay, so then how did it challenge the main ideas of enlightenment? How did it challenge the main ideas of enlightenment? Counter enlightenment challenged the main ideas of enlightenment because the enlightenment or the modernity which is associated with European society has brought so many social challenges to European society. So you have these challenges has led to social destability. So you can write by giving example. You can write by saying that Auguste Comte, okay, Auguste Comte talked about necessity of scientific thinking to be promoted in the society, but enlightenment, in the name of enlightenment, European society was not yet completely transformed into scientific society. Hence, European society have not achieved the scientific stage. It is still struggling between what you say, metaphysical stage and scientific stage. Next, talk about Emile Durkheim. Emile Durkheim is a political liberalist and social conservativist. He became a counter-enlightenment scholar because with the rise of modernity, he saw social instability is prevailing in European society. He saw the social disorder which is associated with challenges. How did they challenge the main ideas? How he saw social disorder arose with enlightenment. Therefore, he became a counter-enlightenment scholar and he emphasized on stabilizing the European society. He emphasized on looking into the factors which will bring stability in European society. Next, you can write about Weber. You can write about this context. Enlightenment gave birth to, or industrial revolution gave birth to the organizational notion of bureaucracy. But Weber was shocked to see that bureaucrats in bureaucracy which want to stabilize, which want to bring a organizational structure to the society, rather it is being promoted as an iron cage where rationality is compromised, scientific temper is not being promoted. Okay, so this is how we see what was anticipated through enlightenment thinkers, what was anticipated through modern ideas, that has not been reflected in the European society, where we see rising corruption, where we see bureaucrats are not emphasizing on empathy, bureaucrats are not using their discretion in addressing the problems of people. Simple. But there were some counter-enlightenment thinkers some counter-enlightenment scholars who they did not accept modernity altogether. The so-called earlier thinkers, these thinkers they did not question modernity. They highlighted the limitations to modernity, but there were some thinkers like conservatives. Okay, they were like Louis de Bonald and Joseph de Maistre. They did not accept the modern ideas. They said that European people will not be capable, European people are not capable to rule, to elect a ruler. How can women be treated equally? They emphasize that European society would not come out of the clutches of the priestly class. Okay, so this is how there are point ఖచ్చితంగా కన్వే చేయాలి. Counter enlightenment thinkers are also divided into two groups. One altogether questioned modernity, one highlighted the limitations of modernity. Very important. This have to be conveyed in counter enlightenment thinkers. In counter enlightenment thinkers. In counter enlightenment thinkers, there are people who questioned modernity itself, and there are, that is Joseph de Maistre, okay, and Louis de Bonald. Why? Because they themselves are from priestly class. Okay, but there are some people who highlighted the limitations to modernity. So it might be Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, okay, Weber, these people. And there are critical school. Like Karl Marx also questioned modernity because he saw in the name of modernity, because of industrial revolution, capitalism is promoting in the society, capitalism is promoting class exploitation and workers are being exploited, and these capitalists are ensuring that people don't develop a true class consciousness. They are being continuously in the society we see false consciousness is being promoted, and because of this exploitative nature of the society alienation is being promoted. And counter enlightenment thinkers you have to include feminist also. How feminists said that in the name of modernity, society is not truly becoming gender neutral. Still patriarchy is prevalent. Modernity or changes in European society is not treating women equally. So that is the reason why in this counter enlightenment thinkers you have to write about a feminist also. You can also write about to an extent. In counter enlightenment you can write about this feminist perspective. You have to write about this perspective. So this is how you have to write this answer. How many people have written answer in this way? And finally you have to write conclusion. How you have to write the conclusion? Conclusion is modernity, that the dynamics of modernity and counter modernity led to the emergence of sociology in Europe. Sociology is not only looking into modernity. Sociology also saw the fall of modernity and how modernity has been criticized. And for that matter, many sociological foundation thinkers are these people, counter modern thinkers. That is the reason why whenever I was talking about positivism, the initial systematic or scientific structuring of sociology was made by positivists. Most of the positivists were counter enlightenment thinkers. Agascombe was counter enlightenment thinker. Durkheim is a counter enlightenment thinker. So this also you have to write this aspect also in shaping the European society and sociology. So enlightenment and counter enlightenment led this questioning has gave the scope that sociology, there should be a discipline which is needed. Why we saw the emergence of sociology? Because social changes in Europe and social challenges, because of social changes and social challenges, we saw a intellectual void. There were questions which these questions were not able to answer by other disciplines. This led to the emergence of sociology. So you have to write two statements about how this dynamics of enlightenment and counter enlightenment shaped emergence of sociology. Simple. How many people have written answer on these lines? Quickly, anyone have written? If not, you can write. Then what is the reason why you are not able to write? Because did we not discuss this point in the class? What made you to stop writing? Why you are not able to write answer from this perspective? Did I discuss any point which is new in today's answer discussion? So if you are not able to write on this context, means either you are not revising the class or you are not able to practice answers. How many people have written all the 8 answers in 2 hours? Second question. The sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and History and biography. Biography and
the relation between the two.
and the relation
Between the two.
relationship between
The two in a society.
between the two in a society. Okay, this statement was given by Sarat in a society. This was given by Sarat Mills. How many people have answered this question and how they have answered that question? Please, I want to hear it from you. You will write what is sociological imagination. Okay, very good. What is sociological imagination? Individual experiences. What is sociological imagination? Very simple. Sociological imagination ante enti? Sociological imagination. Individual experiences. You are looking into the relationship between individual experiences and the larger society. Individual experiences ki larger society ki relationship చూడడమే sociological imagination. So, okay, you understood what is, you'll write what is sociological imagination. Then
History and biography.
History and biography.
History की sociology का
History ki sociology ki unna relationship చెప్తారు. Okay, very good. Anyone? How you have written this?
How history influenced by
How history influence biography? Okay, first of all, what is biography?
individual
Biography is individual. Then what is history?
statements like novels.
Okay, ఇక్కడ చూడండి, this is a previous year question and many people are thinking that this question is talking about sociology relationship with history, but no, actually this question is not talking about relationship of sociology with history. Rather, it is trying to elaborate మీకు బ్రాడర్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్ ఉండాలి అని ఒక స్టేట్మెంట్ త్రూ చెప్తుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ డీవియేటింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద ఫస్ట్ ఈ క్వశ్చన్. క్లియర్గా దిస్ ఈజ్ నాట్ డీవియేటింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ అండ్ ఓన్లీ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్. ఇక్కడ హిస్టరీ అండ్ బయోగ్రఫీ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే, హిస్టరీ అంటే కంటెక్స్ట్. హిస్టరీ హియర్ ఈస్ context. In which context are we talking? Biography here is individual. Biography is talking about individual, history is talking about context. This is context. In which context did I ask you to write different? Definitely you have to answer test series, because the major point is you want to stay within the competition. You understand my point? History ante enti ante context of the society. Unemployment is a personal failure అని చూస్తాం. But in which context are we? Is Sarat Mills asking us to look into unemployment in a larger social context or in a larger public domain? He is asking us to look into the context of unemployment. So here the topic is not about this. The topic is not about relationship of sociology with history. The question is just talking about the context is. So Sarat Mills always looks into any issue, any personal experience from the framework of a larger context. That larger context is called as society, and he will look personal failure from the context of society. He will look personal success from the context of society. He will look he will look suicide, okay, also from the context of society. Durkheim, did he not talk about how suicide rate of suicide we can look from the society? Social integration and social regulation is social integration and social regulation is behind suicide. You are taking away from the individual and giving importance to context. So the sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and the relationship between the two in a society. Simple ga rayalsindante. You have to write what is sociological imagination, and sociological imagination is nothing but looking into how individual experience, looking into the relationship between individual experiences and larger society. The demand of the question is nothing but it is asking us to understand. So the question is saying that how Sarat Mills explained everything from the context or from the context of society. How that society, how can we understand from that context? We can understand the individual behavior or individual experiences. So how personal issue, okay, individual issue, personal issue can be looked from public perspective. How personal failure can be looked from public perspective. You can write 2-3 examples. How unemployment, Sarat Mills did not look unemployment as a personal failure. Rather, he looked into unemployment from the lens of society, from the issue of economic recession. When country is undergoing economic recession, by default, the country economy is slowing down. When country economy is slowing down, by default, we see many unemployment increases. You understand my point? On the same lines, Sarat Mills would not look as success as an individual success or individual failure. There are some social factors like social traditions, caste, class, religion, race is shaping individual success. Okay, this you have to understand. This you have to write. So Sarat Mills conclusion emra that Sarat Mills gave importance to the context. Looking into it, context ante endi, enduku history ni context annam, point endi ante oka society is it not shaped by past and present events? Okay, he looked into the context, or he looked into the macro aspects influencing an individual behavior. So sociological imagination provided a new lens to look into society by understanding everything, by giving importance to context and how this context is shaping individual. Okay, so everything we are looking from a public perspective. So that you have to understand in sociological imagination. Very simple. నాకు తెలిసి ఎవరు రాయలేదు కదా, ఎవరికి ఈ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో అర్థం కాలేదు. So actually I thought of discussing this after sociological imagination, but remember we talked about one question, PYQ on sociological imagination. I want to keep it for test series such that I want you to think. ఎందుకంటే మీకు నేను ఎక్కడైనా చెప్పానా క్లియర్గా 10 మార్కర్ క్వశ్చన్, ఇక్కడ క్వశ్చన్ ఏంది సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్ గురించి ఉంది, అండ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్. క్వశ్చన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఆస్కింగ్, ఈ క్వశ్చన్ ఏం తెలుసా, ఒక స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇచ్చి దాన్ని ప్రూవ్ చేయమంటున్నారు, మిమ్మల్ని ఆన్సర్ చేయమనట్లేదు. వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ క్వశ్చన్? ద నేచర్ ఆఫ్ ద క్వశ్చన్ ఈస్ ఐఎమ్ గివింగ్ ఎ స్టేట్మెంట్, ప్రూవ్ దట్ స్టేట్మెంట్. మీరు అప్పటికైనా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్ ఎనేబుల్స్ అస్ టు గ్రాస్ప్ హిస్టరీ అండ్ బయోగ్రఫీ అండ్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్ బిట్వీన్ ద టూ. సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్లో 2 స్టేక్ హోల్డర్స్ ఉన్నారా? ప్రైవేట్, పబ్లిక్. నీకు బయోగ్రఫీ అనగానే యూ విల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ బయోగ్రఫీ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఇండివిజువల్. ఆబ్వియస్లీ హిస్టరీ అనేది నువ్వు కంటెక్స్ట్ అని అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. See, that is what, how much ever I try to say these many questions have been asked, this is how you have to think. Definitely when you are writing mains, such a type of koncham tricky kadutaru. You can never expect that I sit beside and simplify it. That is not how it happens. You have to be independent. You have to develop that critical thinking. Okay, chalo. Next, what is the third question? Chepandi.
Discuss the nature of sociology.
Discuss the nature of sociology.
Highlights its highlights its relation with history.
Highlight its relation with ikkada. Highlight its relationship with history. Now, what is nature of sociology? What did I say? When you are talking about nature of sociology, nature and scope of sociology, what is nature of sociology? Nature of sociology is nothing but is looking into its characteristics, its essence, okay, what methodology it is following, okay, its approach, okay, its methodology which is adopted. This is what is nature. Okay, next you have to understand the nature of sociology. Sociology is trying to is looking into understanding a reality by emphasizing on experimentation, by emphasizing on empirical reality, okay, value neutrality, objectivity, okay, it is trying to look into these aspects. Okay, now sociology, next it is talking about the relationship with history. Okay, what is the relationship of sociology with history? And it is not only talking about relationship of sociology with history. You can also say that the nature of study of sociology versus nature of study of history. What is the nature of study of sociology? I talked about. Sociology history will look into studying a society from giving importance to elite events. Okay, specific. History will try to understand society through understanding specific events or specific individual. History will give importance to elite individuals, elite sections of the society. But sociology will not look into understanding society through elite perspective. It will give importance to subaltern perspective. History is study of society from top. Sociology is study of society from top and bottom. Okay, now you know ideographic and nomethetic methods. Okay, so both have different approaches. Sociology will go for generalization. History will try to talk about differences. Remember, we talked about like caste and race. When we are talking about caste and race, caste is nothing but colored. Okay, colored race. Sorry, race is nothing but colored caste. So this type of correlations will be developed in sociology. Sociology will try to go for generalization. So history will go for specific events. Okay, sociology will look into chronological aspects, but history will go for chronological events, but sociology will try to go for generalizations. Okay, then you can understand that although sociology and history share differences, but we see there is an interdependence, interdisciplinarity with respect to sociology and history, where history is acting as a base for sociological research, and historical knowledge is used for sociological analysis, and sociological analysis is making the historical context relevant. Okay, that is how you can talk about history without sociology is fruitless and rootless. This equation you can talk about. This we have discussed. That's it. Okay. Next, what is the fourth question? In what way?
The scope of sociology.
In what way
Is the scope
is the scope of sociology
unique?
unique? Very simple question, direct question. We discussed what is the scope of sociology. Scope of sociology means how sociology would look into what does it study. Scope of sociology is what does it study? Scope of sociology అంటే ఏంది? What does it study and how depth does it study? Next, scope of sociology is, when you are talking about scope of sociology, what else you will understand? You will understand the subject matter of sociology. What do you study? You will study the subject matter of sociology. In sociology, what do we study? In sociology, what do we emphasize? Okay, and in subject matter of sociology, what you will understand? Scope of sociology. Sociology will not only give sociology will try to understand, will try to go for a holistic understanding of society. Okay, sociology ఏం చేస్తుంది? Holistic understanding of society కదా. We will not only talk about one part. Okay, sociology is one such a discipline which will try to make sure that daily events which is happening in a individual, we will try to look from a broader sociological perspective. We will not only understand individual events, we will understand them from the context of broader society. Okay, how sociology is unique ante endi? How sociology is unique from other disciplines, where economy will only look into study of markets, political science will look into the dimensions of power, whereas sociology will look into how poverty is not only just access of basic amenities, or not only like looking into calorie and what you say income norms. It will try to look from exclusion from government benefits. It will look into caste dimension. It will be looking into other social traditions. You understand my point? And how sociology is unique? First, you have to write statements. So when you are talking about uniqueness of sociology, first you try to give statement and give examples. Uniqueness of sociology. Sociology will try to give you sociology emphasizes on holistic understanding of society by comprehensively studying society and how it is shaping individual and how individual is shaping society. Okay, next, uniqueness of sociology. Sociology looks into how day-to-day activity, how events in day-to-day activities, how events in day-to-day activities are shaped by larger society. That we will be trying to look. Next, sociology will try to, this you can give, ఇక్కడ ఏం రాస్తారు? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఎప్పుడైనా గుర్తుపెట్టుకున్న ఆన్సర్స్లో నేను చెప్తాను చూడండి, మీరు ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ ఇవ్వడమే కాదు, దాని సబ్స్టాన్షియేషన్ ఈజ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇన్ ఆన్సర్స్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు సబ్స్టాన్షియేట్. దీన్ని ఎలా సబ్స్టాన్షియేట్ చేస్తారు? ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ సి రైట్ మిల్స్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషనే కదా. ఇండివిజువల్ ఇష్యూ ఈజ్ వీ విల్ ట్రై టు లుక్ ఇన్ ఫ్రమ్ ఏ లార్జర్ సొసైటల్ కంటెక్స్ట్. సి రైట్ మిల్స్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్. నెక్స్ట్ మీరేం రాస్తారు? స్కోప్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజీలో, ఓకే, స్కోప్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజీలో హౌ సోషాలజీ will be scope of sociology. Sociology will not just study merely facts. Sociology will also try to understand social structure, social relationship, how these social relationships are changing. Remember when we talked about nature of sociology, what we talked about? Social process, social action, social network, social change. Okay, so you have to write that sociology is one subject which will look into the underlying factors which is shaping the society. It will look into the different dimension of social process. It will look into how social action is shaped. It will look into how social networks, social network is shaping a society. It will look into dimensions of changes in the society. It will look into social structure. Okay, so sociology is not that subject which will be only studying the peripheral aspects. It will be studying the hidden aspects as well. And chepoch. Next, sociology is not a discipline which is static. Sociology will also emphasize on dynamism. Sociology is a discipline which focuses on static plus dynamic aspects. Sociology will not sociological imaginary rayochu, sociological staticness and dynamism in sociology you can write, and you can write that rather than other subjects which is only giving you one dimensions of reality, sociology will try to give you comprehensive understanding. That is the reason why sociology is that discipline which will give you a new lens to look into the society. That is the reason why it is unique. You can give 2-3 examples. History already Japan kabatti, economy, psychology will be looking into example. Psychology will be looking into individual behavior. Sociology will be looking into collective behavior. You understand my point? Anthropology is a study of man. Anthropology will study primitive society. Sociology will study complex society. This is how you try to say. Okay, so this is how you have to write. This we discussed in our classes as well. Okay, next, sociology emerged as a systematic study of society in response to profound changes in Europe. Andena profound changes associated with modernity. With modernity, discuss the major social major social, economic, political and intellectual factors that contributed to its emergence. Simple. Sociology emerged as a systematic study of society in response to profound changes associated with modernity. Discuss the major social, economic, political and intellectual factors that contributed to its emergence. Okay, how many people have done justice to this question? ఇది బేసిక్ క్వశ్చన్ కదా. మోడర్నిటీ ఇన్ యూరోప్ అండ్ సోషల్ చేంజెస్ లెడ్ టు ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజీ. వెరీ సింపుల్. మీరు మనం ఫస్ట్ నుంచి డిస్కస్ చేసినట్టు ఫస్ట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు రైట్ అబౌట్ సోషాలజీ ఎమర్జ్ యాజ్ అ సిస్టమేటిక్ స్టడీ ఆఫ్ సొసైటీ ఇన్ రెస్పాన్స్ టు ప్రొఫౌండ్ చేంజెస్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ మోడర్నిటీ. ఫస్ట్ మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఏంటో రాయాలి. ఫస్ట్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ మోడర్నిటీ. సో బికాస్ ఆఫ్ మోడర్నిటీ వాట్ వర్ ద ప్రొఫౌండ్ చేంజెస్ ఎమర్జ్డ్ ఇన్ యూరోప్. మోడర్నిటీ అంటే ఏంది? మోడర్నిటీ ఈజ్ రిప్లేస్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఓల్డ్ ఐడియాస్ విత్ new ideas. Modernity is a process, ilagu raskochu. Modernity is a process which has a modernity is a process which has pre-Christian thought process. Pre-Christian thought process in the writings of Plato, Aristotle as a starting point. Which promoted thought modernity, నేను ఇది ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే ఇలా ఎవరు రాయరు, ఓకే, ఇలా కూడా రాయొచ్చు అని చెప్తున్నాను. ఎందుకంటే దిస్ వి డిస్కస్డ్ బట్ ఐ నెవర్ రోట్ యాజ్ ఎ డెఫినిషన్. విచ్ ప్రమోటెడ్ థాట్ మోడర్నిటీ, which led or that led to act modernity or that led to profound changes. ఇలా రాసుకోండి, క్వశ్చన్ ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయాలి. స్మార్ట్నెస్ చూడండి, నేను క్వశ్చన్ మర్చిపోవట్లేదు. ఎగ్జామినర్ చూపడం, నువ్వు అడిగిన క్వశ్చనే నేను రాస్తున్నా అని చెప్పడం. దట్ లెడ్ టు ప్రొఫౌండ్ చేంజెస్. That led to profound changes like Renaissance. Now write down, like Renaissance, scientific revolution, intellectual revolution, enlightenment. That write down. Renaissance, scientific revolution, intellectual revolution, industrial revolution, etc. French revolution led to social, economic and political changes, which led to the emergence of sociology. Okay, this మీరు ఏం చేయండి అంటే విచ్ ప్రమోటెడ్ మోడర్నిటీ, తర్వాత ఇంకో పారాగ్రాఫ్ రాయండి. రైట్ దిస్ కంటెంట్ యూ రైట్ ఇన్ 2 paragraphs. నౌ యూ హ్యావ్ టు రైట్ అబౌట్ ఈడ టాపిక్ ఏంటి, క్వశ్చన్ ఇక్కడ అంతా రాశారు, క్వశ్చన్ అంతా అడ్రస్ చేశారు. నౌ యూ హ్యావ్ టు రైట్ మేజర్ సోషల్, ఎకనామిక్ అండ్ పొలిటికల్ చేంజెస్. వాట్ ఆర్ ద సోషల్ చేంజెస్ ఇన్ యూరోప్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ సోషల్ చేంజెస్? ఏంటివి? సోషల్ చేంజెస్, హ్యూమన్ సెంట్రిక్ రీజనింగ్, రేషనాలిటీ, డిక్లైన్ ఆఫ్ చర్చ్, డిక్లైన్ ఆఫ్ ట్రెడిషనల్ అథారిటీ, పావర్టీ ఎక్కడ డిక్లైన్ అయింది? సొసైటీ హ్యాస్ బీన్ చేంజ్, నువ్వు ఇది రాయొచ్చు. Control of religious norms has been declined. Okay, next social economic changes. Industrial revolution led to increasing productivity, efficiency peragadamu. Okay, mercantilism has been replaced by laissez free economy. You can write that. Inka economical changes. Apart from this, ivi gaakunda like you can talk about rural ఈ సోషల్ చేంజెస్లోనే రాసుకోవచ్చు, ఇక్కడ నేను రాసుకోవచ్చు. ఎకనామిక్ చేంజెస్, ఇండస్ట్రియలైజేషన్ పెరగడం, అర్బనైజేషన్ పెరగడం. యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ మై పాయింట్? సోషల్ చేంజెస్లో యూ కెన్ రైట్ అబౌట్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్ స్లమ్స్. ఓకే, ఇంటలెక్చువల్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్. సి సోషల్ చేంజెస్ రాయండి, దాని తర్వాత దిస్ సోషల్ చేంజెస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ సోషల్ ఛాలెంజెస్. రైట్, మనం ఏంటి అంటే when we are writing an answer for modernity and emergence of social change, what you will write? Social changes led to social challenges. So social changes రాయండి, social challenges రాయండి, economic changes రాయండి, economic challenges రాయండి, intellectual changes రాయండి, challenges రాయండి. And this led to rise of questions like what brings stability in the society, how social order can be brought. This type of questioning, this intellectual void has been developed and this intellectual void led to the emergence of sociology. Okay, so this you have to write. So sociology emerged as a systematic study of society in response to ఈ సిస్టమేటిక్ స్టడీ ఉంది చూడండి, అదేం చెప్తున్నాం, వీఆర్ స్టడీయింగ్ దట్ సోషల్ చేంజెస్ అండ్ అసోసియేటెడ్ సోషల్ ఛాలెంజెస్ లెడ్ టు రైజ్ ఆఫ్ మెనీ క్వశ్చన్స్, intellectual questions which emerged in European society. This intellectual questions, what will bring order, what will be replaced by okay, if we want to replace religion, what it would be, the role which is played by religion, what it is going to be played, which institution is going to play that role. These intellectual questions were being systematically studied by sociology, and sociology not only studied these questions, sociology also borrowed some intellectual antecedents from other disciplines like political philosophy. Gurtunda TB bottom more intellectual antecedents. Okay, political philosophy, philosophy of history, social surveys, and social and political reforms that led to emergence of sociology. Okay, simple. So question ఏంది, sociology emergence and intellectual factors contributed to sociology. ఇదే క్వశ్చన్లో మిమ్మల్ని క్రిటికల్లీ అనలైజ్ అని అన్నారు అనుకోండి, అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తారు అంటే, అప్పుడు యూ విల్ రైట్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ బ్రింగ్ యూరోసెంట్రిసిజం అండ్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ మల్టిపుల్ మోడర్నిటీ. డన్? ఆర్ యూ అండర్స్టాండింగ్? ఇలా రాస్తున్నారు ఆన్సర్స్. See, point ఏంది అంటే, the purpose of test series is to make sure that you have to come to this level of answer writing. ఇది ఆన్సర్ రాయకపోతే నేను మీ పేపర్స్ చూడలేదు, ఈరోజు చూస్తాను. ఓకే, ఈ 2-3 డేస్ తర్వాత చూసిన తర్వాత నాకు తెలుస్తుంది అసలు ఎక్కడున్నారు అని. హాఫ్ అన్న రాస్తున్నారా? వాట్ వీఆర్ డిస్కసింగ్, వాట్ ఐఎమ్ డిస్కసింగ్ ఇన్ ద మోడల్ ఆన్సర్స్, దాంట్లో హాఫ్ అన్న రాస్తున్నారా? సీ ద రీజన్ వై ఐ డోంట్ గివ్ మోడల్ ఆన్సర్స్. మోడల్ ఆన్సర్స్ ఇస్తే నా పని అయిపోతుంది కదా, నాకు 2-3 అవర్స్ సేవ్ అవుతుంది కదా, ఈ ఎనర్జీ సేవ్ అవుతుంది కదా. మోడల్ ఆన్సర్స్ ఇస్తే ఏం చేస్తారు తెలుసా, చదవరు, పక్కకు పెడతారు. మాకు ఆల్రెడీ క్లాస్లో చెప్పిందే కదా మోడల్ ఆన్సర్స్ అనుకుంటారు. ఓకే, చలో నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. 10 మార్కర్లో ద క్వశ్చన్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజికల్ ఇమాజినేషన్ వాస్ టఫ్ and in 20 marker this was tough. Remaining direct questions. Okay, చెప్పండి. హౌ ఈజ్, నేనేమనుకున్నా అంటే మీరు ఎలా అప్లై చేస్తారో చూద్దాం అనుకున్నాను. ఓకే, చూద్దాం. హౌ ఈజ్ ఇంటర్ డిసిప్లినరీ అప్రోచ్ useful in understanding modern challenges like climate change, artificial intelligence, public health crisis.
Explain how sociology contributes.
Explain
How sociology contributes.
how sociology contributes
To
to
and benefits. And benefits.
contributes to and benefits from from other social sciences. ఎంతమంది ఈ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్ చేశారు? సార్ క్వశ్చన్ చదవడానికే సగం టైం సరిపోతుంది. డూ యూ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ అస్ టు రైట్ ఆన్సర్ ఫర్ దిస్ క్వశ్చన్? సార్ నేను చెప్తున్నాను చూడండి, ఐ విల్ టీచ్ యూ ద కోర్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజీ. అండ్ నేను చెప్తున్నాను చూడండి, ఉట్టిగానే నేను చెప్పట్లేదు 300 మార్కులు నేను మీకు తెప్పిస్తాను అని. మీరు ఈ ఆన్సర్ రాయగలిగితే ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్ అయిపోయి ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఎ పొజిషన్ టు రైట్ దిస్ ఆన్సర్, ఐఎమ్ షూర్ దట్ దిస్ ఈజ్ అన్ ఓపెన్ ఛాలెంజ్. ఐఎమ్ షూర్ దట్ who have prepared sociology, any foundation course anywhere in India, they would not be in a position to write these answers. If you are in a position to write this answer, no one can stop you from clearing this exam with sociology as an optional. Sir, first test లోనే ఇలాంటి టఫ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఎందుకు? ఫస్ట్ టెస్ట్ కాదు, దిస్ ఈజ్ సో మీకు ఆప్షనల్లో ప్రిలిమ్స్ మెయిన్స్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఏముండదు. ఎవ్రీ క్వశ్చన్ ఈజ్ ప్రిలిమ్స్ మెయిన్స్ అండ్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ నాలెడ్జ్ కాదు మీకు. యూ హ్యావ్ టు థింక్ క్రిటికల్లీ, యూ హ్యావ్ టు అనలైజ్. ఓకే, సో టెల్ మీ ఎనీ వన్ హూ హ్యావ్ ట్రైడ్ టు ఆన్సర్ దిస్. లేదు అంటే ఇప్పుడు చదివి ఎలా ఆన్సర్ చేయాలో చెప్పండి. హౌ టు ఆన్సర్ దిస్ క్వశ్చన్? ఇర్షాద్ చెప్పు. Okay, you are saying that interdisciplinary, what is interdisciplinary approach? As he is saying that interdisciplinary approach is the approach where you are using knowledge from multiple disciplines and integrating it to study this issue. Okay, how do you integrate knowledge from multiple disciplines to study these challenges? Okay, క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ జాగ్రఫీలో వస్తుంది, ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్లో వస్తుంది. వెరీ గుడ్, వెరీ గుడ్. వెరీ గుడ్. వెరీ గుడ్. ఎస్, ఫస్ట్ మీరు ఇండివిజువల్గా చెప్తారు. స్మార్ట్ స్టూడెంట్ ఏం చేస్తారు తెలుసా? దీస్ 3 టాపిక్స్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో నాట్ ఇండిపెండెంట్. ద టాపిక్స్, దీస్ 3 టాపిక్స్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో interdependent topics అని చెప్పొచ్చు. This is not a question which is been asked in UPSC. This is a question which I framed. Okay, this is what we call as an application based knowledge. కాన్సెప్ట్ ప్రాపర్గా అర్థమవుతే దిస్ ఈజ్ ఎ కేక్ వాక్. కాన్సెప్ట్ ప్రాపర్ అర్థమవుతే యూపీఎస్సీ ఈజ్ ఎ కేక్ వాక్. ఇఫ్ యూ గెట్ కాన్సెప్షువల్ క్లారిటీ, క్లియరింగ్ సోషాలజీ ఆప్షనల్ ఈజ్ ఎ కేక్ వాక్. దిస్ ఈజ్ నాట్ బీన్ ఆస్డ్. జస్ట్ యూపీఎస్సీ ఏం చేసిందంటే మల్టీ డిసిప్లిన్ అప్రోచ్తోని ఒక్క టాపిక్ని చెప్పమన్నది, క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్. బట్ నేనేమంటున్నాను, వీ విల్ ప్రిపేర్ ఫర్ ద వర్స్ట్. యూపీఎస్సీ ఇంత టఫ్ అడుగుతుంది అనుకుందాం, విల్ ప్రిపేర్ ఫర్ ద వర్స్ట్ అండ్ విల్ బీ రెడీ ఫర్ దట్. UPSC asked only interdisciplinary approach to use interdisciplinary approach to analyze climate change, but we are using artificial intelligence. Ela rastaru student, simple. Okay, as he have discussed, I will try to summarize. What is interdisciplinary approach? Interdisciplinary approach is an approach which uses knowledge from multiple disciplines to look into an issue such that a comprehensive understanding and based on this comprehensive understanding, the proper targeted solution can be achieved to look into that problem. In 21st century, as the magnanimity of the problems are complex, that is a reason why we need multiple disciplinary approaches. Now, okay, this way you can discuss right definition inko way lo. Interdisciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary approach is the approach where 2 or more discipline knowledge are used to study the problem in detail. Simple ga rayochu. Problem clarity కావాలి interdisciplinary approach ఏంటి అని. Now, when you are looking into the given example, climate change is not just a problem. Climate change మీరు ఏం రాస్తారు అంటే interdisciplinaryలో చూస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి climate change is not just merely an environmental problem. Climate change is also an issue of Climate change is also an issue of migration. Climate change is bringing the issue of migration. It is bringing the issue of development and dependency. Climate change is talking about the vulnerability of least developed countries. Okay, you understand my point? And next, climate change is also highlighting the issue of exploitation of least developed countries and developing countries by developed countries. Climate change is also a means through which traditional knowledge has been exploited by developed countries. So this way you can link. Next, when we are talking about artificial intelligence is not merely a technological advancement. Artificial intelligence also signifies the social changes associated with the society. Artificial intelligence valla are we not changing? Is society not changing? Is economy not changing? Is political structure not changing? Earlier, before CJP protest, Narendra Modi never used never made a reel. CJP protest made Narendra Modi also to make reels. Okay, Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister, is also making reels. Honorable Prime Minister of India is also making reels because he want to get updated. Okay, he asked his fellow colleagues, cabinet ministers, to use social media platforms. On the same lines, now you are seeing that to promote your market, to promote your shop. Okay, people are using ChatGPT, asking for ideas. To promote your content, you are taking help of ChatGPT. To promote my course, to promote sociology, I am taking the help of artificial intelligence. Okay, next, when we are talking about health, public health, we are talking about public health. We are not talking about individual health. When we look into pandemic, COVID pandemic, first of all, what are the issues? Public health is not, chudandi, public health is not just about accessibility to medicines. Medical field, doctors will talk about, we will provide medicines, you will take this medicine, you will get cured. But COVID pandemic has clearly proved a new challenge with respect to public health. Vaccine is there, but there is vaccine hesitancy. People were hesitant to take vaccine. Who will talk about? Only medical doctors will only talk about vaccines and medicines. But how can you understand this broader issue called vaccine undi, medicines undi, people are not ready to take medicines. So there is an issue called vaccine hesitancy. There is an issue called discrimination with respect to vaccines. Least developed countries cover their vaccines. You see, global pandemic might also be, this, you can also use this example, political science angle. When world was, ee point rasa meeku depth entundo telustadi. When world was in pandemic, World Health Organization could not effectively address. International organization were not able to address. International organization could not provide the necessary safety net to least developed countries. The so-called developed country like America, when this world was hit from global pandemic, it said that it is coming out of World Health Organization. Okay, so this is what is interdisciplinary, which is needed. So when you look at as an issue from one perspective, you might not comprehensively understand, you might not target that issue, you might not able to provide the necessary, you will not be in a position to understand the complexity, magnanimity of the problem. Okay, multiple perspectives are needed. So 21st century, where we are having complex challenges, we need multidisciplinary approach. Then you can write about one thinker. Okay, I did not discuss here. You can take down his name. Ulrich Beck. Okay. So who is this Ulrich Beck? he talked about, Ulrich Beck talked about risk society. What is risk society? With modernity, we think that we are seeing that with modernity we see economy is growing, employment is happening, okay, society is, infrastructure is been promoted. But Ulrich Beck is talking about with modernity we see economy is growing, infrastructure is growing, development is happening, growth is happening, but associated poverty is increasing, population is increasing, environmental degradation is happening. Modernity has along with modernity there is a risk associated with modernity. Who will talk about that? How do you get that comprehensive understanding? When you develop this interdisciplinary approach. When you look at that issue from an interdisciplinary approach, then only you can understand this issue comprehensively. Okay, next question చెప్పండి. Is sociology common sense? Give reasons for your answer. In support of your argument. I think do you want me to discuss this answer? We discussed in detail, right? We have taken 2-3 model answers also. What you have to write? What is sociology? First write down what is, how Alfred talked about the defining common sense. So common sense is that taken for granted, whereas sociology is reflective knowledge. Sociology questions everything which is coming from commonsensical understanding. First write down the difference between, as it is a 20 marker, first write down the difference between common sense and sociology. How sociology, common sense knowledge is transfer from generation, how common sense knowledge is trying to promote stereotype, how common sense knowledge is trying to promote prejudice in the society. Okay, then you can, after that you can talk about how sociological knowledge will question everything, how sociology is common sense will just talk about differences, sociology will go for generalization, how sociology will uses both quantitative and qualitative tools, how sociology emphasizes on scientific analysis, that you try to understand, try to explain. How positivists like Durkheim, thinkers would include చేయండి, how positivists like Durkheim talked about how where common sense ends there sociology starts. But we see sociology, common sense has become is becoming a starting point of sociological understanding. You talk about, you can link about how common sense, in your answer try to include how common sense is providing the raw material for sociological analysis, how common sense is providing the hypothesis, and based on this hypothesis we see sociological analysis is developed. So sociology, common sense is providing the raw material for sociological knowledge. Why sociology is dependent on common sense? Because sociology is a study of society, and common sense knowledge is seen in everyday society, everyday social world. So that is the reason why sociology borrows raw material from common sense, and which has been analyzed through sociological analysis. Okay, so sociology develops through questioning to common sense knowledge, how common sense is used in providing raw materials, how common sense is used in classification of society and all. Then you can talk, this is how you will talk about the interdependence between common sense and sociology. And then you will try to, okay, so is sociology common sense? Then you will say that most of the time you will try to justify that sociology is not a common sense. But finally you will try to say that although there is a dependence, over a period of time sociological knowledge will become common sense knowledge. For that you try to give an example. You understood? So this is how you need to write. Were you able to write this answer in this way? This is simple kada, this manam we saw in our I have also written a model answer for this, no? Okay, ఈ బోర్డ్ మీద రాశాను కదా when we were discussing. Okay, next, what was the last question?
Sociology emerged in Europe.
Acha, sociology emerged in Europe and flourished to begin
Without social reformist.
and flourished to begin with social reformist orientation in USA. Antena? Social reformist orientation in USA. Okay. What was the concluding remark of the question?
Comment in support of
Comment. ఏం రాస్తారు? The question is talking about what is the difference between emergence of sociology in Europe and emergence of sociology in USA. What did we say? Sociology emerged in Europe as a modernity, and social changes and social challenges led to emergence of sociology. But how sociology emerged in Europe, in USA? Initially, sociology emerged in USA as a social reformist orientation. The social challenges which is happening in USA, whether it might be immigration, whether it might be urbanization, whether it might be lack of shelters, okay, whether it might be lack of unemployment, whether it might be increasing poverty. So sociologists tried to give solution to these problems. They themselves became social reformers. Okay, we talked about how what was her name? Her name was Laura, no? Okay, so Laura was the first female Nobel Prize. She won because she tried to Hull House is a shelter home which is been provided by her, okay, for the immigrants. So such a type of reform orientation, reform measures were taken by sociologists, and these reform measures, so initially sociology emerged in Europe by providing reforms, by providing by being as a social reformers. Okay, so initially sociology developed, but in America gradually, initially it might be with reformist orientation. Your answer should not end there. Although initially sociology developed in USA with reformist orientation, we see American sociology has given a unique perspective to sociology through the writings of thinkers like Talcott Parsons, through the writings of R.K. Mutton, okay, and G.H. Mead. These writings has brought a new perspective to sociology. They provided a new scientific methodologies to sociology that you have to write. That as I discussed in detail in your answers. So they initial ga matram European sociology ela develop in European sociology to questioning to its internal problems. It emerged as a sociology, but American sociology, it looked into unifying American society endukante against this reform, okay, and European sociology questioned capitalism to its core, but American sociology questioned capitalism. They only questioned, they more or less they glorified capitalism, they highlighted the limitations to capitalism. That is also one of the major difference. European sociology questioned capitalism. American sociology to a certain extent glorified capitalism, but they highlighted, they gave limitations to capitalism. Okay, that aspect you have to write. So this is how you have to write about difference between European sociology and American sociology. Okay, so So if at all you are able to write answers in this context, I am telling you, no one will be in a position to write answers in this context in a limited time. If you are not able to, marks gaadu. I'll not, when I am evaluating, don't look for marks. Point enti ante, if the model answers which I have discussed, if you are at least 50% close to your answers, consider that your preparation is on the track. If you are not able to answer at least 50% of the demand of the question, then think that your preparation is not on track. Okay, more than marks, I emphasize on these aspects. Make proper justice to the questions. Okay, so this is what is needed. This is how you have to write answer. Okay, I hope in the next test, whatever mistakes you are committed, how you are not in a position to answer these questions, try to overcome, try to address those things. Okay, is it clear? Chalo, let's move to our regular class. Online students, yes, in the app we did upload the test, so you can check also.